The servitors before you appear as if they are performing some elaborate and confusing dance. Striking strange poses, they rock back and forth with their arms bent at peculiar angles. Upon your approach, one of the servitors jerks and tries to turn in your direction. The rest immediately repeat the motion. The strange scene is completed by grunting sounds. Dull clicks just at the edge of your hearing, coming from an unknown source. Observe. Based on a cursory inspection, you conclude that the servitors were designed for precision work on an assembly line, possibly circuit production. The number of high-quality, expensive augments in the bodies greatly exceeds basic standards. The servitor hand's moves is slowly reaching towards you. Gently and swiftly step away from the servitor. He stretches out its hand as if trying blindly to touch you in a space that you have already left, and still once more it seems its brain is incapable of quickly processing changes in surrounding. Find the source of the repeating clicks. Soon enough, you locate the source of the clicking. On the back of one of the servitors, a tumor oozing with murky ichor is growing straight through the augments. The relays coated in inflamed tissue are blocking, hence the reason for the persistent clicking. A mutation in servitor. Tech priests typically reject the use of flowed soft tissue for their constructs. Perhaps something has caused this aggressive growth, inquired recently. Cut away the tumor forming the spirit cogitator. Without much difficulty, you cut the exit flesh from the mechanism. The liberated relay lets out a rapid burst of clicks, then a spark flashes before your eyes and something begins to hum deep inside the servitor's flesh. As if cued, the servitor stops moving, lower his arms and turn to you. Crew 24, second lane of the manufacturing, commencing work, stay your request. The servitor addressing you in a looking past you, and the voice is coming from the vox built into its throat. Follow your default programming.
I'm watching your back. Always. But of course, Lord Captain.
The lumps protruding under the tech priest's bed-ragged red robe hint at the mechanism implanted in his body. You see his haggard and sticky face under the archaic respirator argument. I. A click, a clank, a barely audible hiss, and only then the tech priest's voice finishes the word. Identification. Request denied. Pascal turns to you, his visor gleamed crimson. Regarding Animus behavior with the servant organics and the invalid neosphere response, this unit is compromised. Let's examine him. You carefully study the robe-clad figure. A black border of necrosis spread out from around the tech priest's implants. For some reason, this body is rejecting the true flesh. A moment later, you recognize the dominant smell in a bouquet of the scents permeating to air around the tech priest. The stench of a rotten meat. Netis, House of Valencian's rock trader. No, who are you? Tech priest clicks his relay. Magos Custos of the Machine Sanctum, Tier 2 identification. The fabricating sensor is a traitor to the Imperium and humanity. I will not comply with any protocols approved by him. Anticipates the process disturbed. Execution of disposal protocol recommended. The tech priest draws his weapons, and as his robe opens, he senses the hit by a failed wave of rot.
Anathema observed. Commencing purgation protocol.
I am a navigator, not a servitor.
Naturally. Let's see to it.
I will do my duty. It will be done. Gray hair, sure hand. Indeed.
Isn't this a job for the serfs? I'm not accustomed to being ordered around.
Focus, Van Kellogg's. Focus. For the throne's glory. I won't object to it. But of course, Lord Captain. Naturally. For the throne's glory.
Doubt is for the weak. This is why I was chosen. I'll do it. Blessed are those who sacrifice for the...
The scriptural prognosis is favorable. Running by Eric override. My vow is to serve. Request approved. Combat is an equation. Your life is a negligible variable.
Victory is imminent. No matter the cost. It will be done. An exemplary strike. I will do my duty.
Me? If you insist, Lord Captain.
Insignificant value.
Brace yourself, Avalon!
As the Emperor commands, you, my Emperor! Faith without deeds is worthless.
High momentum.
It will be done. Target well struck. Victory is imminent. At your beck and call.
Isn't this a job for the serfs? I am a navigator, as duty demands.
Marching on. Light of Terror, guide our way. This ocular implant was a worthwhile investment.
Anything worthy of my attention?
That was a problem for you.
Blocksmith machine oil barely visible on the dark floor.
Whatever you wish.
Damage is negligible.
My ears are ringing.
Easily done.
What deeds await us?
Operation successful.
It is my destiny to traverse the unknown.
Compared to naval service, that was barely a challenge.
How can one find the right way without his light? I'm still new to the art of exploring.
A term containing warning of the Omniscia, this set of unshakable tenets of the Adeptus Mechanicus is hidden from the eyes of the layman with a special binaric cipher. Only the anointed tech priest can divine the secret knowledge from this folio. The massive maggots, clad in ritual garb, lets out a binaric trail and a heart and turns to you. From beneath the deep hood of his mantle, two dimly lit eye implants gaze out at you. You hear another biharic tirade, this time clearly addressed at you. Who in the void are you? You dare address me in the vile tongue of the savages, me the steward of Kiavagama, lord of the machine world. Kneel, pathetic spawn, if you seek swift disposal. You propose that I, rogue trade of the Von Valenci's line, kneel before you. I am giving you 5 minutes. No, not to beg forgiveness, to speak your last words and to offer your final confessions. You are one of the troglodytes who once had the goal to oppress my comrades, to resist my will. A messages from the barbarian who drank the sacred unguents bestowed upon my head through honest toil. Very well then, your appearance is the perfect opportunity to teach you ilk a lesson. My name is Cubis Delphim. I once held the title of fabricating sensor of the Kivagama manufacturing, but I rejected it along with the other fetters that hinders progress. Once my faith was flawed and led naive fools from the cult mechanicus into the darkness of the ignorance. Now I am this world's master and serve the true gods. You tread upon my territory and you do not number among the legion servants, therefore you must be subject to immediate disposal. As the senior functioning member of the Priesthood of Mars, I, Magon Explorator Pascal Heunemann, declare this temple to the machine god compromise and forthwith forbid all service within it. I dethrone the fabricated censor, the ignorant heretic who has betrayed the Omniscia, and condemn as anathema any and all stand procedures implemented by him. Let the cycle of the blasphemous operation he has put in motion be discontinued. Barca switches to Biharic, and you hear dissonant burgeoning of the depths of the Forge Cathedral. Some of the giant mechanism heed his order and go still, while others, obeying the fabricator sensor, will continue their work. Crashes, explosions, and the clanging of crumpling metals signify that some descent among the machines has interrupted the manufacturing procedure cycle. Henneman, liar, you are not him. Demons, Henneman obeys me. His mind is open to the voices of the void, and the scrap code he created protects of my world. And I'll not have you, rusted refuse from the misfits castle of explorators, call me ignorant. This statement is false. Your regalia have been revoked, you have been deemed defective and will be eliminated. Pascal turns to you and says drearily, initiating the heretic search, designation Demoness Hanuman. I wish to execute the retribution procedures. What did you do to the governor of Kiavagama? Is he alive? The removal of unserviceable artifacts was the first step towards rerouting this world. Only my tech comrades heeded the call of truth that reached into the cogitators and allowed them to pierce the veil of empty dogmas. Poor old Gaprak. 10 or so years back he told me he felt uneasy in the presence of the Tinkan comrades, I mean the esteemed Adaptus Mechanicus. He casually complained about not having been dealt a normal planet. I have an honor his memory with a prayer. Once he have finished purging this place, Abalad's brandished his weapon. Thankfully the fabricator says here did not require any coercion to confess the treason. So you have traded one master for another. I would have expected a fabricated sensor to be smarter than that. The fabricated sensor box lets out a piercing, barely audible sound that makes your inside shudder. I will rip out your spine column and braid it all around my stuff, you arrogant creature. This is my world and I will serve only me. Even a cursory analysis of the data shows that the probability of this outcome is negligible. You, like your predecessors, are but an artifact of certain calculation, one that requires minimal resources to revise You may be driven by your will to fight, but know this, Kiavagama has already been converted. Its lines have been restructured and its servants have already teased the fruits of progress. In the cubicles of this manufacturing, torrid liquid metals will be used to forge a vessel for secret spirits. The adaptees are already tirelessly delivering deep into the new mysteries that were once barred by the false tenants. You servants of fake gods are too late. The entire might of this world will soon raise up against the anathema and his slaves. So many open admissions of heresy is in so few sentences. Sister, how many death sentences would you say this world's errand? I cannot answer that, Master von Karlox. It is my duty to measure the guilt of heretics. When the Adapter Serenitas appears before entire of the Imperium, it is time to fight, not count. And now is one of those times. Your 5 minutes have passed. I have percentage to Your 5 minutes have passed. I hereby sentence you to death and will be the one to carry it out. Comrades, space the manufacturing of any random variables. I must prepare for the culmination of our great work.
Remember, innocence proves nothing. Let's see to it. But of course, Lord Captain, I won't object to it.
Executing request.
Attention to detail is the key to success.
The Inquisition taught me many things. That was a problem for you. There.
Showing is howling with the metal housing, as the machine spirit of the cogitators are lamenting some irreparable loss. Focus access to the cogitator system. Your knowledge of machine spirit is sufficient to trick the system and subdue into your will. A false query, a crafty manipulation of the controls, and you get what you want. You gain access to the cogitator system. The device machine spirit can do nothing to thwart you. Subdued by its defeat, it hides in the depths of its lair. Awaken it. You touch the levers and the reels of the control panel and disturb the slumber of the spirit that resides within the cogitator. The machine, dawdless as if stayed drowsy, but nevertheless performs its assessment function. The cogitator is silent, awaiting new commands.
Easily done. That was a problem for you. see to it.
Isn't this a job for the serfs?
As the Emperor commands, I act. Faith without deeds is worthless. I was chosen.
It will be done. But
As the Emperor commands, I act.
Should just fucking save this, shouldn't I?
Suffer not the heretic to live. I'll do it. It's nothing.
I won't object. Let's score the pain.
I'm not accustomed to being ordered around.
Doubt is for the weak. As the
fucking save it again.
Another color has faded.
Again, not saved. Before enemies.
I'll do it. That is for the weak. I'll do it. As the Emperor commands. Injured. I'm enraged. I'll do it. In thy light I see. Thy light I crave. As the Emperor commands, I take cleanses the body.
Step aside. The navigator is coming. I am a navigator, not a servitor. I'm not accustomed to me.
And save it again.
Try it.
house. Wow.
This pile of human remains carelessly tossed together amidst a suffocating stench. The torn, gutted bodies once belonged to tech priests, but you cannot spot even a glint of metal anywhere. All the implants are gone. Suddenly, one of the ravaged bodies makes the tiniest movement. The tortured man's lips move ever so slightly, his half-closed eyelids twitching. Approach. The man can barely breathe without his respiratory implant. It is a miracle he survived the horrific vivisection. But it takes you a single look at the gaping wounds where the argument was ripped out to realize death is only a matter of time. As if having sensed your presence, the half-dead man looks at you and sharply inhales the hot air machine spirit delivers. The Binharig requiem coming from Pascal Vox sounds solemn and grim. Upon hearing it, the man's mutilated face twists in a weak semblance of a smile. Who did this to you? My comrades. His voice is barely audible. It seems each word takes a man of a great deal of effort. Machine spirit, has the Omniscia truly abandoned us? Kiavagama has fallen into the maw of the eternal enemy. The holy magi, they succumbed to heresy, the rest were stripped of the true flesh. To feed the heresy, preserve us, deliver me from erring. Sacrifice living blood from vessel of the true flesh. While the heart is still beating, after that, oblivion. His eyes grow glassy. I knew you would come, I've waited so very long. Deliver it to me to my torment. What a horrible fate to be betrayed by one's own. I attest that the three categorical requirements for assigning the statues of Martha of the Faith have been met: opposition of the enemy, preservation of adherents to dogma, and a brutal death. Requesting the right to extract the subject organic matter for it to be used in the creation of an honorable service corps. The man who is minutes from death wheezes weakly. It is an honor. I am thankful for the right to serve. Steel your heart, servant of the Imperium. Your words will help me bring down those who have betrayed Kiavagama. Something flashes in the man's eyes, as if your words have allowed him to gather that remains of his strength. Gritting his teeth, the barely raises his head and fastens his mad gaze on you. May the Omniscia strengthen your will. May I renounce the dissonance of variation. No, machine spirit, angel of the Deus Machinus, that I saw the fabricator Caesar himself, ripping the flesh out of the tech comrades and shattering a litany of vessels of corruption, sarcophagi forged from corrupted metal, unholy shells designed to house evil. He lets out a weak howl. The fabricator says he does not serve the Omnisha. He obeys a different power, the one whose herald came to Kievagama at the onset of the insurgency. His mouth spews lies and corruption. Fear him, for he is. The words escape the man's mouth along with his last breath. Having spent the last bit of the strength of his confession, he goes limp in your arms, forever this time. The device now evidently uses the chopped bodies of the pieces once ordinary cooling fun.
Easily done.
A small, heavy, augmented man in a filthy, tattered robe stands before you. You approach, he hesitantly looks up at you, he's filled with horror. A portable inscriber with a keypad hangs from straps of his front, and you can see his detached cerebral cogitator peeks out from under his hood. Is this another minion? The tech priest cowers behind her hands, whimpering painfully. No, I'm not a cultist. They tried to corrupt my mind with the heresy, but I run. I am manufacturing Lex Mechanic Zeta 86. I performed the rituals for the machine spirit of Foundry 95 up until he started going mad. Priests devoted to the Omnisha suddenly started praising the dawn of something or other. They stopped the bells and they desecrated the visage of the sacred machine with unholy symbols. Some of them resisted, the other grabbed them, tied them up, and then they turned in the implants to heresy. I saw the madmen, my former tech comrades, deliberately connecting those poor souls to corrupted cogitators. I watched as they were infected with the scrap code. I did nothing to stop them. I am recording a violation of the commandment, on thine own forge be a true sentinel. Postate Zeta 86, your access are hereby revoked. Proceed with your report. The icy rumble coming from the Pascal's Vox causes the Lex Mechanic to lower his head in a fear and contrition. How did you manage to avoid the fate? I didn't avoid it. They performed the same procedure on me. I felt the touch of the unholy code. I allowed it to control me. I abandoned my sacred post and followed one of the traitors, serving his will and gathering all the data for his blasphemous experiments. I was driven by an unholy impulse coming from the depths of my auxiliary cogitator, while the code had logged itself. Before I found a way to throw off the compulsion, I witnessed horrifying heresy. the extraction of the true flesh and its decomposition on altar, preserve procedures that result in heretical abominations. I even accompanied the fallen Magus to the fabricator Sensor himself and attended an unholy mass he led personally. It was a wicked ritual full of willful devotions and blasphemous inaccuracies, all to create an ungodly monster of the name of the Final Dawn. But he didn't act like the others. The Lex Mechanic gestures at the wires and connectors spilling out from under his hood. Praise the gift of the Omniscia, I managed to disconnect my external cogitator, which I use for a primary data processing. The machine is corrupted, the scrapped code is locked inside, like the beast in a cage, but anyone who tries to look inside will fall victim to the heretical program. My primitive brain has been marked by corruption. I still see the silhouettes, hear the interference, I sense the malfunction in my arguments, but I was still safe from the great sacrifice. Oh bless our workings of the Omniscia and his benefactors that shelters the weak from evil. To the depths of the manufacturing, it is some kind of semblance of a cogitator, a nightmarish parody of a sacred machine, powered not by the Omniscia grace, but by the unholy spirit and life force of the unfortunate imprisoned on the lowest levels. I don't know much, except that the fabricated sensor saw that the machine as special. It was special to him and the crazies who defiled the Omniscia abode of their obedience blasphemy. For the final ritual, he even called upon one of the Astrates heretics who arrived in the manufacturing after the start of the uprising. He did something terrible, and the only after he were able to switch the machine on. It is true abomination. Even standing near it is unbearable. I believe that even those who have been deprived of the Omniscia grace still feel its influence on them. In monstrous power utilizes for unholy computation and chaotic calculation. Whatever the cogitator might spew out at the end of the cycle, no righteous soul should accept its heinous offering. How did your crazed comrades behave? Like a grace of the Omniscia had left them entirely, replacing free thought and process with blanket corruption. I witnessed them desecrating structures blessed by the fabricator Cesar himself. That what they do bless of a rot trait account for naught. Like men possessed, they set upon a scared instruments and assemble shell and nodes that didn't match any diagram or blueprints I'd ever seen. Sacrilege. You mentioned someone in prison in the lower levels. They lay servants to the main units. They live in isolated segments under the sacred machine halls. I heard they were locked in there after the takeover. Then the crazed brethren changed the system for disposing the slag waste and covered the machine in the cursed symbols. The Lex Mechanic hesitated. After they stated the cogitator, they dragged the survivors out of the segments under the machine halls. Well, what the survivors had turned into. You demonstrate exceptional powers of observation and recall for someone who just happened to survive. I am Lex Mechanic. Gathering data is the purpose of my existence, not even what they use me for. He tried so blatantly understanding a subtext of the interrogator words. They use me against my will. The scrap code turns everyone into a slave. Before I rid myself of the cogitator, I was forced to serve alongside those who perpetrated those atrocities and witnessed the obscenities. What do you make of it, Henrix? The interrogator Tilsy said, 7 of the Omniscia I must know more. About the Final Dawn, the fabricated sensor, his mass, and about the machine as well. I could give you the coordinates, but the Lex Mechanic drops his head. Even though I was present for many blasphemies committed by those heretics, all the details that were captured and processed by my true flesh are in the augmentic that was corrupted by the scrap code. I am convinced that if I hadn't fought off the foreign compulsion in time, I wouldn't even been doomed. The corruption would have spread to my biological cogitator as well. The Lex mechanic taps a finger on a device hanging from his ear and several writes. I swear that no devout tech priest should come into contact with what's hidden in this one scattered device. Henrik's expression shifts as he stares instantly at the disconnected implants and the still intact connectors protruding from under the Lex mechanic collar. The corner of his mouth twitches involuntarily. Abelard notices the look on Henrik's face, and once he does, he slightly heavily and looks away. He sighs heavily, looks away. Can the cogitator be disconnected and reconnected to another machine? The Lex mechanic shakes his head in reproach. Even if the very idea of exposing a holy machine to the scrapped code wasn't profane in itself, my argumentics are not universally compatible. They cannot be connected to another machine spirit. They were created to interact with the system of my true flesh, to innervate my compulsor until the unit and output data via the inscriber. Once I am safe, I swear that I will immediately perform a cleansing rite and destroy. In other words, there is only one way to extract the data sorted in the cogitator. What are you talking about? If we connect the cogitator to the argument system, the Lex mechanic will serve as a conduit for transmitting the data. We will learn the details even if they are incomplete and the thing he saw and heard, but it is now unable to recall. The Lex mechanic, who has been listening to your discussion in puzzlement, finally understands what is going to happen to him, and he begins to back away in fear. No, anything but that. I'll die? No, I'll be worse than that. I'll succumb to the corruption. I'm begging you, please. I'd rather be burned as a heretic than have a scrap code in my biological cogitator. At the words, Henrik pauses for a fraction of a second, almost as if he's reconsidering. In failing to offer any resistance against the enemy of the Omisha, Unit Zeta ATC lost the grace of its machine rank and was recategorized as a resource of the manufacturer. The defilement and torment of said resource, if committed to advance the struggle against heresy, will not be deemed an apostasy or malefaction against a living soul. Upon expiry of the unit's utility, disposal is recommended. We cannot allow the information to go to waste. One life is a small price to pay for the good of the Imperium. For the good of the Imperium. Like a snake, Henrik laughs at the lunges at the Lex mechanic, whose mouth opens in the beginning of a squeal. Pinning the bubbling Lex mechanic, Henrik uses his free hand to feel free for connectors of the external cogitators and then for the socket at the back of his cognitive neck. The Lex mechanic struggles a few times, but when Henrik twists the wheel on the cogitator's hanging rise, the Lex mechanic lets out a chilling howls and arches his back sharply. His hand twitch and leap to the instigator and begin typing furiously, pounding on the keys with huge force. Cassia, who has been stoically observing everything, flinches and averts her gaze when the Lex mechanic starts crushing his own fingers into a pulp. The scroll that creeps out of the inscriber printer continues to grow, undiluting in waves of parchment that settle on the floor. The crunch of breaking bones can scarcely be heard over the hammering of the keys. After several minutes, the Lex mechanic fingers are well and truly crushed and blood is spattered over in the inscriber, but that does not stop him trying to vain to press the key with the scraps of bones and skin that remains. Henrik tears off the parchment and skims his eyes over it, sometimes frowning and looking away as though his eyes are painting him. I'll take time to study this in full, but at first glance, the data from the Lex Mechanic's cogitator suggests something out of the nature of a cult's major reparation. refitting the manufacturing, accumulating resources, mentioning of focus points. These are preparation on a large scale. Chaos ritual, it appears the local cogitators, whatever they may be, in actuality is one of the key points in his list. We can learn more if we find the construct that was created on the fabricated ancestors' orders. The coordinates are here. It is located here in the bowels of the manufacturer. Henry cast a final look at the Lex mechanic, now locked forever in a cycle of mindless motion, and turns away. We had better hurry.